So discussion number one, we're going to talk about the 5-step wealth accumulation plan, and discussion number two, we're going to talk about financial related Bible scriptures other than ones I put up front. And the first scripture is, remember the Lord your God, He is the one who gives you power to be successful, or and I think the King James Version says to gain wealth. I think it's the International Bible scriptures, Deuteronomy 8 and 18. So He has given us ability to gain wealth and to be successful. Now the question is, how do we go about doing it? See, it's one thing to have the ability, but it's one thing to know what to do with it. I mean, you can have a person that's a good athlete, but if they don't practice, they don't know how to play the game, it doesn't matter how good an athlete they are. They can't get any better until they learn how to play the game and know the rules, know the techniques to make them a better athlete. So the same thing with this. You have the ability. It's just a matter of just knowing what to do and execute it. So according to the U.S. on page 2, according to the full-time year-round worker will earn at least $1 million in your lifetime. Do you believe that you will earn $1 million in your lifetime? The average worker will. Because most people are going to work 40 years on average, or 30 to 40 years. So when you look at, I'm going to tell you how you're going to know how much you made over your lifetime. You go to SSA.gov, Social Security Administration, set you up a login. And when you set your login up, you're gonna go to the site, or the part of the site that says my Social Security statement. And on that Social Security statement, it's gonna tell you all the money that you made over the years, and that's how they took that 7.5% out of your check. And if you start adding up that gross pay for a yearly grade, you'd be surprised what you done made. That's the fastest way to find out what you've been making over your lifetime. And I check mine once a year. So I started working, as far as getting a paycheck in 1975, it's all on there. And I suggest you should check it once a year anyway, because you want to make sure that what you're contributing is being captured, because that determines what your check going to be. It's not, everybody don't get the same thing. Everybody, your Social Security check is based on how much you put in. And if it's missing stuff, then you're gonna have a problem. So you might want to check it once a year. So you can go to SSA.gov and you can set up what they call a My SSA account. And then that way you can see what you'll see. It'll tell you in increments what your Social Security would be starting at the age you are now, all the way up to 70. So that tells you if you want to quit working, it'll tell you exactly what age and what you get. Because it start with your age now. So a lot of people are going to make $1 million over a lifetime. So the amount of education you obtain may determine what you make. This broke down here by degrees on average. Now, some of this stuff is not, some people that don't have a degree can make more money. It depends on what you're doing, and whether you own your own business. A lot of people sell stuff, they make money selling stuff. So this is not foolproof, but it's just an average. Most people work on average between 35 to 40 years in their lifetime. Some people with less education may accumulate more wealth than someone with more education. I just said that. You never know. It depends on what they do. I tell you, if somebody go to Augusta Tech and come out with a 2-year degree in cybersecurity, and somebody else go to Augusta University and come out with a 4-year degree in business, or say teaching or anything else, that person with that 2-year degree in cybersecurity is going to make more money. I'm going to tell you that now, because it's in demand and it's a highly short area, and they're paying. So that's why I'm saying some of this is obscure, because it just depends on what you getting your degree in or what your background is. Don't necessarily mean you're going to make more money because you got a doctorate or whatever. But in most cases it is, though. So definition of the website. So we're going to talk about wealth. What is wealth? We have to understand what wealth means in order to understand how to accumulate it. So the value is the value or amount of assets and money that is owned by a person. So it's an asset you have. It's the house you got, the car you got, the money you have, any asset that you can sell or can become a monetary entity. That is an asset. So you can easily take inventory of your own assets. It don't take much to figure it out. You look at your house, you look at your furniture, you look at your car, you look at your investments, look at your savings, you look at, all kind of stuff that you can, accumulate over the years and sell. So accumulate. Now we're talking about accumulating wealth through a lifetime, so we know, okay, what does accumulate mean? Accumulate means to gather, grow, or increase over a period of time. That's what it means. So we're going to accumulate, so we want to grow something. We want to gather stuff to accumulate so we can make it grow. See, there's certain websites I use. Y'all can go out there and look at them. There's some good information out there. You don't have to pay, they're free. So I suggest you want to see anything on personal finance. These are the 3 ones that I use a lot. And actually, USA Today, you can buy the paper or you can go on their website. They have a good personal finance section in the money section, real good. Question number 1, what are some of the ways you can accumulate wealth? Somebody can answer that question. How can you, tell me how you accumulate wealth. We just defined it. We defined accumulate. So give me one example how you can accumulate wealth. Somebody. So I guess nobody here has wealth. Somebody got here in the car, that's wealth. How can you accumulate wealth? You got to know how to accumulate it. You got to know what to start with. I mean, somebody got a mic? Just put it away from your mouth a little bit. Yeah.
Diversify your income and have multiple income streams.
Okay.
And invest.
All right, that's the way to gain wealth. Save. Your job gives you wealth. Your Social Security check gives you wealth. Your pension gives you wealth. Now, of course, there's a different amount of what that means, but it is wealth. And I think a lot of people get wealth mixed up with wealthy. It's not, I didn't say wealthy, I said wealth. And so we need to understand that you can be wealthy, but we have to understand the basics first. Everybody want a microwave solution. This is not a microwave solution. I mean, I don't underestimate anything God can do because I've seen Him in action in my own personal life. So I don't underestimate Him with anything, period. Because we always talk about every Sunday, expect the unexpected. What? Giving? You can't. We say it every Sunday. Sister Ruby said it in the service every Sunday. Every Sunday she says. So, question number 2, why is it important to manage your debt load? Why in order for you, now I'm gonna kind of set this up, this question. Okay, now in order for you to manage your debt load, your debt load is a negative effect on your wealth. Because when you have debt, that means you paying out. And the more debt you have, that means you can't accumulate. So I just answered the question. That's why. But if somebody want to ask something to it, go ahead. That's why it's very important you deal with your debt as best you can, because when you deal with your debt, that means you can take that money and use it to build your wealth. And I always talk about the cars. I want everybody to get the car they want and get what you want. But at the end of that 5 or 6 years or whatever your term is, you should keep that car at least another 5 or 6 years and use that money to pay down debt or do whatever and keep your car up. Then that way you won't be out there trying to find another one. And I think for the most part, people around here, I don't see too many people around here, getting a car every 3 or 4 years. I think most people keep what they got for a while. And it makes sense because cars are better made now. So that means you can, once you take care of it, you can keep it for at least 10 years and keep it washed, keep it clean, keep it waxed, keep the maintenance done on it. It'll be the best thing you can do to accumulate wealth. Okay, so question number 5, the 5-step wealth accumulation plan. This is my opinion. So no matter what age, you still can accumulate wealth. We look at Colonel Sanders, right? Everybody know about the KFC. Back in the day, they called it Kentucky Fried Chicken, but due to health stuff, they got rid of that. Even though it's still fried, doesn't matter. Or whatever they do to it. But in 1952, at the age of 62, he became a multimillionaire. Because that's when basically when in his older age, he started off at a gas station stand making chicken, and it got so popular he started franchising it out and showing other people how to do it, and he was taking royalties from using his name and his recipe, and that's how he became a multimillionaire. And he was I think he was in his late 50s, right at 60 when he first started doing it. And he became a multimillionaire before he even drew, regular full Social Security, because back then most people didn't draw the Social Security until 65. I don't know if there was early Social Security at that time, because it doesn't change now. You can get it at 62 or 75% of what you make of your max you get, but back then I don't think you can draw it that early. On page 4, are we on page 4? Yeah, we're on page 4. Okay, Proverbs 3:9-10 says, honor the Lord with your wealth, then your barns will be filled with plenty and your vats will be bursting with wine. So one of the things to accumulate wealth, we have to understand that we're doing a financial Bible class, so we have to talk about giving to the Lord. So step 1, we're going to talk about the 5-step plan. If we're going to be in a class like this, we have to talk about giving to God first, giving your tithes and your offering from your first fruits. Now, I know some people that may get saved and start going to a church, they might be able to do that initially. But if they start getting rid of their debt load and do whatever they can, because I'm not going to ever advocate somebody to have their lights cut off. That's their responsibility, in my opinion. God knew where you at. You got to start where you at. Everybody can't start right away doing that because they just might not be able to do it because of their debt load. So, but you have to pray about that and have God give you wisdom, get rid of that stuff so you can start, paying your tithes and offering at a certain level. Because to me, that's where a lot of your blessings come from. The unexpected blessings that you didn't even plan for, or whatever you plan for, God can make it even better. I'm a planner. I plan stuff all the time. My mind is always running about doing stuff, and even though you make the best of plans, that don't necessarily mean it's going to come the way you want it. But if you got God involved with it, it will to a certain extent, and whether you even realize it or not. I done seen it all my life, especially since I've been back here. It's just hard to explain something. So I talk about it when I preach, and I don't have to make it up, because I don't have to make up anything that God do for me, because it can be backed up and can be proven. But the thing is, you got to give God. I always say, but you got to give God something to work with. You can't be hoping at your hands all the time, and then you're not doing the things you need to do, as far as wisdom, to manage your money. So you give your tithes and your offering, you're letting God know that you honor Him first. That's what that's all about. Do not underestimate how your wealth increases supernaturally by honoring God first. Remember, the favor of God cannot be underestimated. So I'll suggest, once you're able to do it, to go ahead and do it, because I believe a lot of your wealth building and your blessings are being held back because of that. And you see people getting blessed and things are happening in their life, you're trying to figure out what's going on with them. Well, maybe they're giving their tithes and offering like they're supposed to. So, that's how I look at it. To me, it's really simple. And we'll talk about how to do that as I go along. Luke 6:38 with Amplified Bible says, give and gifts will be given to you. Give and gifts will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken down together, and running over. Will they pour into the pouch formed by the bosom of your robe and use as a bag for? With the measure you deal out, with the measure you use when you confer benefits on others, it will be measured back to you. I kind of use that because that's a little bit more emphasis in different words than the traditional King James Version. Question number 3, can someone give me an example of a situation when you received some unexpected money? Has anybody ever received, since they've been saved, I'm going to use that as a caveat, have received any money they didn't expect? Anybody? Anybody want to witness it? Okay, I need a mic up here, please, so that people on Facebook can hear it. So got 2 people. Unexpected. Money you didn't know was coming. Money cometh. That's what Leroy Thompson say.
Yes, I went to dinner with my ex-boss one time, and before we left, we broke bread together and said we hope to see each other again. And when he got ready to leave, he asked me next cash for a pen. I'm like, what do we need a pen for? So he reached in his back pocket and filled out a check. And I wasn't expecting that, and he paid for the lunch.
Oh, yeah.
That was a blessing there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Got somebody else raise their hand? We got 3 people. So that's 2, and then the third one in the back.
Gosh, there are so many. Let's just name
give
just
me a good one.
you.
Give me the most recent one.
Oh wow, most recent. The light company, the
What-
power company, gave us. We just got a check in the mail, just like we've overpaid, or
Right.
and they just gave us a check, and we wasn't expecting it,
What about your books? Were you expecting?
Selling books. Didn't expect for it to go as it did.
That's right.
But it did. And it's still continuing
Right.
to multiply and all of that. So, yes, there's so much. Okay, here we go.
Got money expected. I tell you what, one time I was watching Mike Murdoch, always asking for money. But they always have a project, to let you know what it's for. So I kept listening. I said, Mike just running his mouth. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to let God bless me. He said, pay $58 a month for a year. Y'all ever heard him say that? I said, well, let's see. I sent it all at one time. $58 times 12, $696. I ain't paid no money more because I knew what God said. If you give a penny, he'll press it down, shake together, and run over. If you give $100 bill, he'll do the same thing and give it back to you. So I had no problem. God can't tell lies. Some folks know how to trust him with money. So what I did, I went on about my business. I ain't paid none of that. $696, there ain't no money, no way. What is $696? So about 3 months later, one evening I came home. I'm just telling one, I got 10 or 15, but I ain't gonna tell but one. I came home, an unfamiliar car was in my yard. I said, wonder who is that? I went in the house, somebody in the house used to be a member here, a familiar, former member of World Outreach. Wrote me a check for $1,500. Wrote the church a check for $2,500. Came by the church the next Sunday and gave $4 more $100. And I can tell no more to get y'all upset. I just want to tell you, just let you know something you think about when you get home. See, I'm going to preach a message one Sunday in this church. Giving beside the tithe. If you can squeeze the tithe out of some members, you ain't about to get nothing else out of them. If you can get that, 10%. So when it comes to offering, the flesh don't want to give nothing. Come on, somebody.
A lot of times the flesh don't want to give it, period. Anybody else? All right, question number 4. Do you believe Jewish people still follow the financial principles in the Bible? Yes or no? I'm not trying, I'm not gonna stereotype nobody, but you know what I mean by asking this question. I'm gonna give an example. I had a friend of mine in the Army named Michael David. He grew up Jewish. And me and him, my last couple of years in the Army, I traveled a lot. We was on the road a lot, going to different bases, giving classes on this new system that the Army was developing at Fort Lee. So me and him became good friends. And one day I asked him, I said, you know, 'cause I knew he was Jewish. I just asked him, I said, look, let me ask you a question. You grew up Jewish, right? He said, yeah. I said, now, do y'all follow the principles of finance, the finance principles in the Bible? He said, oh yeah. He said, oh yeah. He says, he told me, he says, that's why we got money. That's why we have inheritances. That's why they pass stuff down. They taught that from day one. How to manage money God's way. They give and they accumulate wealth. He said, I don't want all the details, but I knew exactly what he was saying. But see, the God had to use somebody in the Bible for us to be examples from. And he just happened to use the Jewish people. He had to pick somebody. And if you look at the inheritance of how things are passed down in that community, and the businesses they have, and the wealth they have, and the education they accumulated, and all that stuff, it's all based on what he told me. Go ahead.
Yes. I hear what you're saying, but every time, mostly on the, I think the TBN channel, they always, and also we get it in the mail too, asking to give toward the Jewish community and the Jewish people. So if that's the case, why is they always asking for money?
Well, they're asking for that because if you look at, in certain countries, the Jewish people are being persecuted. They're being persecuted of what they are. And when you live in a country that's persecuting you and holding you back, you're not going to be able to do things like they do in other countries, like in Europe or the United States, because they are purposely making them suffer. And if you look at where they're asking for that money at, most of the time it's in these countries, especially in some of the Muslim countries. And then a lot of times they're going to limit them from being able to do anything. That's what Hitler did during World War II. Well, the first people he went after when he took power, he went after the Jewish people. He destroyed their businesses. He put them in ghettos. You can't accumulate wealth if somebody's coming after you, or they looking at, or they trying to kill you. You're not going to accumulate nothing because you don't have the opportunity. See, it's all based on opportunity. Once you have the opportunity, what you doing with it? And in this country, that's why after World War II, they all came here, because they saw this place as opportunity and they thrived. And that's just history right there. I mean, if you look at the history of it, you'll see. But you can't have opportunity if you're being deprived of opportunity. Just like, you know, your ancestors, your great-grandparents and grandparents, it's a lot of things they could have done, but they were denied what? Education. They were denied opportunity. They were denied access. And you can have all the knowledge you have, but if you're denied those things, it's not going to matter. You're just in survival mode. That's why it's no excuse for people nowadays in this country to take advantage of the opportunity this place gives you, because you don't have those barriers anymore like that. And some of us are old enough to remember all this stuff. I mean, I went to secondary school till I was in the 7th grade. I remember enough of it. I remember the signs. I remember our teachers telling us things not to do or whatever, because, you know, I'm old enough to remember certain things. Somebody else?
I want to make just one more, then I'm going to hush. Well, sometimes you see people on TV talking about Israel, and they'll tell you that people in Israel, some of them don't know where the next meal coming from. And we know that is true in Israel. And the Bible, God said, if you bless Israel, I'll bless you. If you curse Israel, I'll curse you. So God can't tell lies. If you bless Israel, I'll bless you. So I was looking at that man, I said, well, I get that book he got. I'm going to send an offering just, you know, to help Israel. That God said, I will be blessed for helping Israel. Send $140.
Now,
In about 3 months. Now, I was expecting a little money, but Not a whole lot, you know. But not long after that, I got $6,000 I wasn't looking for. If you bless Israel, God will bless you. So I'm keeping it up. I'm keeping it up.
And we know the reason why is that because the covenant was made with Abraham, and the Jewish people are descendants of Abraham. So, and of course, a lot of people forget Jesus was Jewish. A lot of people forget that. You know, they want to forget that he was Jewish, and he was born in that line that had to be made. He was born in that line, and that had to happen in order for him to be the Messiah. So, but most of the stuff I see on TV for helping the Jewish people, they're living outside of Israel. Because if you go to Israel, that's a prosperous country. If you ever go over there and you see it, I've been over there, you can see it. I mean, everybody got poor people, but there ain't that many over there, except for the Arab population that lives there. Because you have a lot of Arabs that live, or Palestinians that live in Israel because of the wars and the fact that Israel won some of the land and they inherited those folks. So then a lot of them are living below the poverty line for various reasons. But for the most part, Israel, just like the United States, you know, we're a very prosperous country, but we're going to have pockets of people that's going to be poor. Some people are going to be poor because they want to be. They don't want to do no more than they have to do. Some people are poor because they've had some mental issues or whatever. But for the most part, the United States is a prosperous country. Why do some Christians do not believe in tithing? The key word in there is some. Why they don't believe in it? A lot of people you talk to, they say, oh, that's in the Old Testament. That's what I hear a lot. But I preached a whole message on how they talked about tithing in the New Testament too. And that's a whole different message. So. But a lot of people don't believe it because that gives them an excuse not to do it. Well, I always say, you're leaving money on the table. I always tell people that. Because you can't beat God giving. And when you give to him, he gives back. The average church in this city cannot function properly unless people are giving to the church. It can't, because it's not a business. You don't make money doing anything. You have to have people give in order to do it. And if people don't give, the church dies. So that means that word in that church is not being preached to certain people. And that means less of God's word getting out, whether it be physically or through Facebook or whatever. And that's what the devil wants anyway. And the young people under 40 don't believe in giving tithes. I'm telling you that now, they don't. Whether they grew up in the church or not, they don't believe in doing it. Because they believe most of their money will be made from the secular world. Yes.
Pastor, what's your difference between dues and tithes?
Well, dues is old, traditional. From my understanding of dues, now, you remember that I was real young when we left the traditional church, I would say, when I was 8. But from my understanding, the dues is what you can obligate to give the church within a year. Now, some people can sub that word for tithes, but see, a lot of people didn't believe in the tithes, so they had to come up with the word dues in order to make sure that people gave to the church. So they wanted you to pledge a certain amount, or they would ask you to pledge a certain amount over a year. You know, a certain amount a year, then you divide that by 12 months, of course. That's the difference.
Let me say something about the Jews. Now, I remember when we left Thankful Baptist, I reckon he was about 8 years old, I guess. Something like that. He remembered some of the things that was. But we had Jews to pay. You know, you could give more if you wanted to, but they had a certain amount that the men would give. You know, not under that, but you could always give more, and they didn't send nothing about tithes, and we was glad. Amen. So, then the ladies would give maybe less, but anyway, they expected you to pay that dues, Brother Davis, that dues they look for you to do it, you know. So that's the way was back then with the Jews, you know, they didn't preach them. I didn't hear tithing much,
Right.
you know. That would have scared everybody to preach 10%, you know, but they didn't, might mention it, but didn't preach it, okay.
From my understanding, the dues was always less than the tithe anyway. That's my understanding. And but when people start preaching about the tithes, you know, that's a percentage, and which means it's not a due. And so churches that didn't preach and believe in tithes, they use the word dues because the church had to function. You still got to open the door. You got to pay for the, you know, pastor. You got to pay for the electric and heat and all that other stuff. So you had to have money coming in. So, and of course back then a lot of those churches had, like, you know, they sold a lot of stuff, bake sales and, you know, dinners and all kinds of stuff to raise money. You know, and most of the time it came from the church members, you know, but they would do it because it's easy for you to give something and eat something. You know, you give something, you eat something. Somebody got a microphone for somebody up here. I'm gonna get it going here in a minute because we only got like 20 minutes left.
And a lot of people, I mean, tithes it's for your benefit. It's for your benefit, you know, and that's why God tells us to give, and it's for your benefit, for your increase. And I think a lot of people get discouraged because, you know, I had this woman to talk to me. She shared with me that because she didn't give her tithes to the church, that they wouldn't provide a service to her. They would cut off some services to her. And it discourages her. It's discouraging. I'm quite sure that would be discouraging, you know, to say that you're not going to provide a service because you're not tithing, you know. And I had to kind of encourage her and just to kind of explain to her. And sometimes we had to help, you know, when people say it wrong, you know, or, you know, some of our leaders say it wrong, then we had to kind of come back to kind of help to make that right according to the Word of God. And because a lot of people take it personally, a lot of, you know, leaders take it personally when people don't. But like I said, it's to your benefit, you know, as an individual. So
I agree. And but, you know, some people just don't believe, and God can bless you supernaturally or bless you from somebody else. I mean, you could have promotion. I look at even where I work at, you know, the things that I've gotten unexpectedly, you know, as far as promotions and favor and position and all that stuff. I mean, I just did my job. That's all I did. I wasn't trying to do no more than I had to do. But then all of a sudden, you get favor. I mean, I even had people say, you know, the manager, you the favorite. I said, what you mean by that? You just, it seems like everything you want, you get. They see it. Even they see it. Now, of course, I don't see it that way because I believe everything I get, I earned it through merit. But the merit is the base of what you do, but at the same time, God increases that even more. That's why you got to get, I always say you got to get God something to work with. You can't be a dud and expect things to happen because it won't add up to the people that's watching. So step 2, education and training. We send our kids to school for a reason. They go to school for 12 years because they need to have a basic education in order to make it in this country, because the unemployment rate is real low right now, but it's not going to be that way all the time. We send people to college and trade school and get associate 2-year degrees and diplomas and bachelor degrees. And we need people to get further educated because that helps the economy in this country, and that's how we can keep our economy going as a whole and be a force in this global world. So we need people to get degrees. We need people to be doctors. We need people to have specialists. You know, you want to go to the hospital, you don't want somebody working on you and they still going to school. You want somebody that already got their diploma on the wall. So, but that doesn't even mean that you can't be successful with that. But it's a bigger picture thing. That's why if you study economics, you study micro and macro. Micro is at the consumer level and macro at the big economy level, because everything that we do as far as education affects both of those. So we want to push our kids to get as much education as they can, not because they're trying to be better than anybody else, because It helps them at a micro level, and help the country at the macro level. We can't compete if we don't have educated people. So by doing that, where you learn a trade, whatever, yeah, you make your money. That's one thing you can do to affect your income. Step 3, you must know how you're spending your money. Follow the money. What I mean by follow the money, where's your money going? I think I did one financial Bible study class on, do you know where your money is? I may do that one again. Do you know where your money is? You follow your money. You have to know where your money's going. What it's going for. You know, am I wasting money? And I always say, when I talk to people helping to find out, I say, you got to put your needs up front. Well, of course, you know, if you're dealing with somebody that's paying their tithes and all, we always talk about that. But as far as everything else, put your needs up front. Your need is what you got to have every month. Those are your needs. And I always say, put your savings second, or your investment, depends on how you do it, whether you save at a bank or you save through your 401k at work. You ain't got to be in the stock market to save, to invest. You go through your 401k. Most people have 401ks at work. And even if you have a pension still, like through the education system, guess where your money's going? They taking your money you put into that, because I think people got to contribute. I know Renee had to contribute at least 5% of her pay to the system. But we think you do with that money. They take that money and put it in the stock market. That's because they wanted it to grow. So your money going to be in the stock market whether you put it in there directly or not. And the third thing is your wants. Your wants are stuff that you don't need. It's stuff that you want to have. So you got to set those priorities. And you can never let your wants overtake your needs, because then somebody going to get paid. So you got to, and then your wants got to be prioritized. Oh, do I want my nails done first? Or do I want my hair done first? Or do I want a back massage done? Do I want this? Do I want to go to the movies? Do I want to go? You know, we don't want to have nobody be denied. But when people are starting from a problem, they got to deny themselves some things until they get that stuff straight. And I don't have a problem with telling them. I say, this is a waste. We got COVID. Why you got a gym membership for? You're not going. Because nobody going to the gym. Get rid of it. Do sit-ups and push-ups at home. Walk your neighborhood. That's one thing you can get rid of right now because you're still not using it. You can always start it up later. And a lot of times we have stuff we paying and we forget we have it. And then you wonder why stuff get behind. But you have to break that stuff down and you got to say, okay, now what do my needs are? I got to be able to save something because I got a future coming down the road. And I got to look at these wants and say, okay, now, do I need a car every 5 years? No. I tell them that. You don't need a car every 5 years. That's not a need, that's a want. And that's why you can't save no money. That's why you can't pay your tithes and offering. Step number 4. Try to live off only 75 to 80% of what you make. Now, some people can't do that straight up. You got to start slow with that. Maybe it's 2%. Maybe it's, you can 5%, 10%. You know, you want to do that over a period of time. As you get older, you make more money. Your kids leave the house. You will have more money. People right now in their 50s and 60s are making more money they ever made in their life for the most part. And a lot of times they don't have kids in the house and they still can't make it and you can't figure it out. You know, what's going on? Well, it could be a lot of things. I see it all the time. You know, so then the question is, and I always tell people, if you get a 2% raise, a 3% raise, take at least half of it and save it. You didn't have that raise last month. How you lived, you didn't have it last month. So at least take half of it and put it in the savings account. And then the other half, either you keep it, enjoy it, or you can pay down debt, whatever you want to do. And then that's how you get started doing stuff. Because when you get a raise, you can easily save it because you never had it. Number 5, reduce or eliminate your debt load. And for number 4, I'm gonna tell you, that's how me and Renee did it. We didn't live off all our money. We lived under what we made all the time. And then we took the difference, the 10% or whatever, and we invested it. Either we saved it, we bought real estate, bought mutual funds, bought stocks. And over a period of time, that stuff doubles, triples, quadruples. You know, every time we move, we buy a house. Sometimes we buy 2 houses. Sometimes we buy 3. And we just hold them. And then when it was time to buy what we have now, to get the land, we just sold everything. And we used all that money to help pay for what we had now. I tell people all the time, we weren't making a lot of money. We just lived below our needs, that's all. And I told you, my whole life, since 1976, I've only owned what? How many cars I said? Was it 5? 1, 2, maybe 3, 5, was it 4? 5. I mean, they had 4 and I had 5, that's it. 40-some years, I've only owned 5 cars my whole life. Why is that? Because I took the money that I wasn't spending on them and I was saving and investing. And that's why we have what we have today, or what I have today. It's just really that simple. 5, reduce or eliminate your debt load. So you have to start doing it. So how are we going to do that? First thing you want to do when you want to start reducing your debt load, I don't care what the interest rate is, take your lowest debt item and start pay the minimum on everything else, and start paying a little extra above the minimum on the lowest balance. If you got a credit card, got a $200 on it, okay, you start on that one first. If your car payment is your lowest balance, lowest one, hit that one. Because the car payment, see, one thing about a credit card, when you pay it off, pay it down, the payments go down. Car, when you pay it down, do the payments go down? Nope. That's why you want to get rid of that thing first. Because if you got a $400 car payment, it's going to stay $400 until that 5 or 4 years is up. But a credit card, you put money on it, as you pay down, it's going to go down. But see, that's what it gets you at, because now you're paying less and you say, oh yeah, I'm good. But no, you're not, because they want that interest from you. So those are the ones you try to hit. And if you can do that, you reduce your debt load, it'll be great. Financial Bible verses. We should always use the Bible as a guide to help us with financial stewardship. See, I mean, with wisdom and stewardship, but you know, it's always stuff in the Bible that we can use as inspiration. First fruits, Deuteronomy 26:1 and 2. It says, "It shall be when thou art come in unto the land which the Lord made God giveth thee for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth which thou shalt bring of thy land that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall put it in a basket, and shall go into the place in which the Lord thy God shall choose the places named there." And we can do our first fruits after we get control of our debt. That's when it's going to be like a snowball effect. And you know, and like I said, personally, I can see what happened to us. And you know, and we worked hard. Nobody gave us nothing. Everything we got, we earned it. But at the same time, we didn't keep a lot of debt. And we bought stuff. We didn't hold back on nothing, but we just knew how to manage it. And you got to make priorities. And then as a couple, especially if you're married, you got to talk about this stuff. You can't just have one person there going crazy and you have no controls in that thing. Somebody got to put a stop sign up. 1 Corinthians 16 and 2, given on the first day of the week. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in the store, as God hath prospered him, that there will be no gatherings when I come. In other words, you know, when you get paid, you know, you start separating the money, what you're going to give the Lord first, and then you deal with the other stuff later. And see, the thing is, as you accumulate wealth and as your pay go up and you start accumulating things, don't underestimate the power of giving that help you get to that point. Or when blessings start coming unexpectedly. A lot of people discount what God has done because sometimes it comes from a direction and you know it came from somewhere and you took it, but then you should always thank God first, because I'm sure he had something to do with it. Summary: wealth does not mean just being rich. Its meaning is accumulation of money and assets. No matter the amount, accumulation of wealth and assets are not impossible to accomplish. Based on biblical financial principle, individuals' determination and application in wealth accumulation can be done for born-again Christians. Giving to God first will always be the first step in successful wealth accumulation. Remember, your faith in God plus financial wisdom. This is my philosophy now. This is nobody, this is me. This is what I believe. Your faith in God plus financial wisdom. Financial wisdom to me is when you make decisions on how you spend your money. And your stewardship is how you manage your money, how you budget and all that stuff. But you still got to make decisions. You can budget all day, but if you make bad decisions, it's not going to work. Budgeting is one thing, but decision making is the second thing. That's where the wisdom comes in at. It equals your prosperity. And God wants us to prosper. And we need to understand that it's some basic stuff that we have to do in order for things to accumulate. And that's all I have. And I did go over a little, 7 minutes, so that's a record for me. Anybody got any questions toward the end? No questions? All right. Anybody that's on Facebook want to get a copy of this handout, you can call my number 804. My cell number is 804-536-5973. I can mail it to you or email it to you, as long as you got Microsoft Word on your computer. All right. We'll have the pastor come up. Thank you. You want me to close it out or what? You gonna close it out or you want me to close it out? Okay. Well, we're gonna wait on